He didn't cheat with a woman, he cheated with a spirit. Kelly was only 10 when the car lost control. Her mother's scream was the last warm sound she remembered. Metal crushed. Glass shattered. When the world stopped moving, her parents and her 2 little sisters were gone. Kelly survived, alone, trembling, covered in blood and rain. Her childhood ended there. A woman named Mama Ruth took Kelly in. Not because she wanted a child, but because she pitied her. Mama Ruth was harsh, easily irritated, always reminding Kelly, "You are not my blood." But Kelly never complained. Even pain felt like home compared to being alone. Kelly learned young how to wipe her tears before they fell. She worked, cleaned, cooked, and prayed. Her only comfort was imagining her parents smiling down from heaven. They gave her everything, except the chance to grow beside them. At 22, Kelly met Kelvin, a handsome man with ambition and light in his eyes. He wasn't rich yet, but he was kind. He loved her gently. He chose her proudly. Kelly believed she finally found home again. Kelvin's mother despised Kelly, not for being poor, but for being loved. She feared losing her son's attention, his care, his money. She tried to stop the wedding, but Kelvin stood firm. They married quietly. No large family celebration. No choir. No dancing crowd. But Kelly was happy. However, Kelvin's mother was not. From the beginning, she saw Kelly as a threat, not because Kelly had done anything wrong, but because the love her son now gave to Kelly was love she, his mother, still wanted to control. She would say things like, "I raised him. I suffered for him. I trained him. I fed him. I made him who he is. You came from nowhere, how do you think you'll enjoy my labor?" Kelly never responded. Silence was her shield, and also her prayer. When Kelvin's mother brought another girl from the village to replace her, Kelly remained firm, calm, respectful, to the point that the other lady left on her own, ashamed that she couldn't break a marriage built on peace. If you would have walked away, subscribe to Tribelines African, and tell me where you're watching from. That was the kind of presence Kelly carried, quiet, strong, unshakable. And with time, Kelvin began to rise. Slowly, his small efforts turned into success. He started businesses. He made connections. Doors opened. Money followed. Everyone could see the difference Kelly's spirit brought to his life. Except his mother, who believed she was the one who deserved every reward. Kelly continued loving, continued praying, continued serving that same woman, washing her clothes, cooking her meals, sending her money even when she, Kelly, had none for herself. But as Kelvin became wealthier, a new storm formed quietly. Kelvin started wanting more. He wanted the kind of life wealth promised: flashy cars, expensive trips, diamonds, parties, loud friends who praised him. He wanted his wife to walk in front of cameras, glittering like the wives of rich men on social media. But Kelly was still that girl who once slept in an old wooden house with her grandmother, the girl who found joy not in owning, but in giving. She preferred to donate to orphanages, to feed children who had no one, to sit quietly in church, to live a modest, soft life. And so Kelvin began to feel bored. Before I tell you what happened next, subscribe to Tribelines African, and comment where you're watching from. Your comment helps this story reach others who need to hear it. He started staying out late, meeting new people, listening to friends who had never built a home but loudly advised others on how to destroy theirs. You're rich now. Why are you still tied to one woman? Your wife is too simple, too dull. Get another wife. You can afford it. At first Kelvin laughed it off. He knew Kelly's eyes, innocent, gentle, loyal. The woman who survived loneliness but still gave love that didn't fade. He could never hurt her. Or so he thought. But corruption doesn't enter loudly, it enters in whispers. And soon, the whispers became desires. He began avoiding her. Coming home late. Returning home only to sleep. Saying less. Touching less. Looking less. Kelly felt it. Storms don't need to speak before they fall. One evening, she sat beside him and said softly, "Kelvin, I can change. I can try to understand your world. Just don't push me away. You are all I have left after grandmother." But Kelvin's heart was already slipping. He looked at her, but he did not see her. Inside, he whispered to himself, "It's too late." That same night, he left home. He did not return. His friends arranged a woman. He slept with her. For the first time since marrying Kelly. And he told himself while breathing against another woman's skin, "This is what I've been missing." From there, he didn't stop. Different women. New nights. Long absences. He even began staying with 4 women at a time, like an addiction that felt like freedom. And while he lived that new life, Kelly was at home. carrying a child she didn't know she would raise alone. She called. He didn't answer. She cried. No one listened. Even her grandmother was too harsh to comfort her. Kelvin's mother didn't care, only waiting for the marriage to finally break. His siblings only came around when they needed money. Months passed, slow, heavy, lonely. By the time Kelvin finally stepped into the house again, Kelly was 8 months pregnant. His heart sank. Shame touched him. He apologized. He held her. He said he was sorry. He said he would be a father. But apologies don't erase wounds. Some things change a person forever. The night Kelvin returned home, it felt like a forgotten dream come back to visit. They spoke again, soft, careful words, like two people trying to remember how to hold each other without breaking. But even in that moment of peace, Kelly was afraid. She could not forget how reckless he had become, how many women he had touched, how far he had wandered. She needed to protect herself and the child growing inside of her. And Kelvin, on the other hand, made no attempt to come close. The closeness they once shared was replaced by distance sitting between them like a cold shadow. The next morning, around 5 a.m., Kelly woke up and couldn't find him by her side. She checked the living room, the kitchen, the bathroom. The house was silent, but Kelvin was gone. He had gone to flirt again. The addiction held him too tightly. He loved the feeling of more and more. He began ordering girls from any part of the world. He paid for their flight, their hotel, their food, their time. Anything to escape the quiet and simplicity he once begged for. Kelly went into labor alone. No husband. No mother-in-law. No grandmother. Just pain. And 2 maternal friends who rushed her to the hospital. And there, through tears, trembling breath, and strength she didn't know she had, she brought 2 lives into the world. Twins. A boy and a girl. She tried to reach Kelvin. Nothing. She called his family instead. His father came immediately. One of his sisters came too, but she left the next day to return to school. His mother never showed up. Kelly couldn't call her grandmother, the same woman who raised her, who shouted her pain into silence instead of comforting it. She was alone again, just like when she was a child. So she learned everything from scratch. How to bathe them. How to hold them. How to feed them. She watched videos online in the middle of the night while both babies cried at once. She did it all herself. She cried quietly. Every day. But one day, she broke free. The day she realized her happiness was not with anybody. She stopped calling Kelvin. Stopped texting him. Stopped explaining herself. Stopped waiting for replies that never came. And the one day she did not text, the one day she did not call, Kelvin noticed. He deliberately ignored her because he believed she would always be there. But silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes it is awakening. Even after knowing she had given birth, even after knowing she went through labor alone, he still ignored her. But on the second day, something shifted. He didn't see her message. Didn't see her call. Didn't feel her presence. His heart became restless. For the first time in months, the house he abandoned began to call him back. He decided he would go home. But just as he was ready to leave, he received an email about an important business meeting. He would have to travel to Abuja. He didn't know why. But he suddenly couldn't wait to see his wife. His heart was pulling him. His steps were turning. Something was calling him home. But destiny had already opened another door. And he was walking toward it without knowing what waited on the other side. If you're still following this story, subscribe to Tribelines African and comment where you're watching from. Yet Kelvin still could not call Kelly, nor check on her. Even though his heart was restless and his thoughts kept drifting home, he held his pride like a shield. The meeting to Abuja was important, but he couldn't bear the silence of not seeing her call nor text, which he was the one ignoring. So instead of going himself, he sent a replacement. He needed to see her. Needed to see something familiar. Needed to confirm she was still there. When he reached home, he didn't go in immediately. He stood by the gate. From inside the house, he heard laughter. Kelly's laughter. She was singing to the babies, softly, joyfully, as if life had always been gentle. He quietly asked the gate man about her, trying to hide the urgency in his voice. And the gate man smiled as he answered, "Madam Day happy well now. Especially with her babies. She day smile every day." The word struck Kelvin like a blade. She was happy without him. He felt ashamed. Not because he had changed, but because she had learned how to keep living. He couldn't look her in the eyes. He couldn't walk inside. His ego whispered, "She will beg again. She will cry again. She will need you again." That pride, that arrogance, it wrapped around him like chains. So instead of going inside, instead of holding his children, instead of saying "I'm sorry," he turned away. He drove to the club. The music was loud, lights flashing, bodies moving, but his heart was heavy. Suddenly, his head began to ache. His skin shivered. A voice whispered to him, quiet but sharp, "Go home." But he ignored it. Then he saw her. The lady in red. She was beautiful. Classic. Sharp. Hot. Dressed like fire wrapped in silk. He looked once. And he looked again. "This will be good for tonight," he said to himself. She saw him before he reached her. She smiled, welcoming, warm, too familiar. Within an hour, they were in a room. And at that exact moment, miles away, Kelly woke up with a shock in her chest. She didn't know why. She wrapped her arms around her babies, her voice trembling. "I cover my husband with the blood of Jesus. I cover myself. I cover my children. I cover this home." She prayed even though the room felt hot, heavy, pressing. Back in the hotel room, Kelvin tried to move, but his body stopped responding. His hands, his legs, his chest. Nothing. The woman in red sat beside him, stroking his skin slowly, soft and deliberate. He began to laugh, a strange laugh, not his own. "I will give it to you hard tonight." He didn't know he was being offered. He didn't know he was being prepared. Because that night, he was meant for sacrifice. A giant appeared in the spirit realm. A massive, dark figure, hungry, ready to drain him, steal his destiny, empty his life. But the moment the attack drew near, fire erupted. Not a literal flame, but an unseen power. The prayers of Kelly. The innocence she carried. The covenant God placed on him through her tears. The giant spirit burned on contact. The woman in red froze. She lowered her eyes, not in fear, but in recognition. "You carry a grace you don't deserve," she whispered. "Someone is covering you." She was not a normal woman. She was ancient. The first of her kind. Dead but living. Beautiful but cursed. Queen among destroyers. Her mission was simple. Steal great destinies. Scatter families. Turn children into wanderers. Break men until nothing remained. But that night, she felt something she had not felt in centuries. She felt seen. She felt human. And she fell in love with Kelvin. The next morning, Kelvin got up to leave. He should have run. He should have fled. But he looked at her lying there. And he couldn't let go. He woke her gently. He asked for her number. She handed it over. "Are you leaving me?" she asked, voice soft and trembling. "Not at all," he replied. "I'll call you later tonight." He left. But as soon as he entered his car, something heavy entered with him. An unseen presence. Dark. Sharp. Breathing beside him. He could not drive home. He could not even face the street leading to his house. His spirit was shaking. For the first time in nearly a year, he called Kelly. She picked up without anger. Without judgment. Her voice full of love. She told him about the twins, smiling through the phone. But Kelvin was silent. "Something is wrong with me, Kelly," he whispered. She didn't hesitate. She asked where he was. She came. When she arrived, he could not look at her. Could not speak. Could not stand still. She reached for him, but he stepped back. Then he ran. He ran to his car. He drove away. Kelly stood there, crying, hands hanging in the air where he should have been. The woman in red waited for him that night. The room was beautiful, fragrance soft and sweet. But Kelvin never came. He never stays with one woman twice. When she searched for him with her power, she saw him with another girl, touching her the same way he touched her. She felt something she was not meant to feel. Jealousy. So she breathed out one command. Suddenly, Kelvin began to sweat. Badly. In a 5-star hotel. Air-conditioned. Cold room. Then the smell came. Rot. Decay. Death. Everyone noticed. Everyone covered their noses. Everyone looked around in confusion. But the smell was not the room. It was him. The smell began inside the hotel room, soft at first, almost like something rotten hidden somewhere far. At first, they thought it came from outside. Maybe the hallway. Maybe the kitchen. But the longer Kelvin remained there, the stronger the smell became. It grew thick, heavy, unbearable, until everyone in the hotel began to complain, questioning the management. They searched everywhere. They opened windows. They changed the air fresheners. But the smell did not leave. Then they discovered it was him. Kelvin felt heat rise from his skin. Sweat rolled down his face and neck. The odor clung to him like a shadow. Embarrassed, he left the hotel shamefully, his head down, afraid to meet the eyes of anyone. He drove to his office. The security guard was surprised to see him at that hour. He hadn't been around for months. Kelvin didn't speak much. He just walked in. But not long after entering, the sweating started again. And with it, the smell. This time, heavier, darker, deadly. The security guard called him immediately, trying to be polite but afraid. "Sir, please, if you don't mind, we may need you to step out. There is a very horrible smell in the building. We are still trying to find where it is coming from." Kelvin pretended to know nothing. He left quickly, and the moment he exited, the smell faded. He sat in his car, alone, confused, broken. He didn't know where to go. He didn't know who to trust. He didn't know who to tell. Then suddenly, his phone rang. No number on the screen. No name. Just a call. Out of deep desperation for someone to talk to, he picked. It was her. The lady in red. "Baby, come to Mama." And without asking for directions, he found himself right beside her. Kelvin was now lost between fear and comfort. The demonic spirit he received through being with her had taken root deep inside him. It made him afraid to go close to his wife. His mother and siblings didn't care, as long as money continued to come. But the lady in red made him feel accepted. She made him feel wanted. She made him feel seen. Even during intimacy, she would lick his sweat, whispering, "I will always be with you. No matter what." The next day, Kelvin called his mother. Not for help, just to hear a familiar voice. But she only spoke about money. She told him she needed a large amount for a vacation in Dubai, not noticing the sorrow in his tone. He sent the money. And in his desperation, he told her everything happening to him. She responded, "You are a man. A powerful man. You can do anything to your wife. Be strong. Travel abroad. Let the white doctors handle it." Kelvin felt a small relief. He followed her suggestion. He took his private jet, even though it put him into debt. But when he arrived at the foreign hospital, the same nightmare happened. The sweating. The smell. The fear in every face. They spent money. They tried everything. But nothing worked. He returned home empty. He couldn't go to the office. He couldn't go out. He was now living in a very small house, far away from the city. Trapped with the woman in red. Months passed. His mother began to worry. The house Kelvin bought for his parents was still in his name, and when the banks came, they demanded the property. His father and siblings had nowhere to stay. They had been living off Kelvin's money, and now there was no money left. They couldn't reach him. His numbers were unreachable. No one knew where he was. His mother finally went to Kelly. She had never visited Kelly, not even after she gave birth to the twins. She arrived there, angry, shouting, demanding that Kelly find her son and leave the house. Kelly looked at her calmly. "I haven't seen your son for 2 years," she replied quietly, "and this house is mine." Silence fell. They knew Kelly was quiet. But they also knew she was wise. With nowhere to go, his family was now sleeping in the church. Kelly opened her home to them. "Come. Live here. This is your home too." His mother broke. After everything she did to Kelly, Kelly still chose kindness. That day, his mother's heart changed. They began searching everywhere for Kelvin. Churches, mountains, prayer camps, fasting. Until one morning, Kelvin asked the lady in red, "What about my family? My office? My cars?" She lied smoothly. "They abandoned you. They moved on. They left because of your illness." Kelvin shook his head. "No. My wife would never leave me. I need to go home." She smiled softly. Then she said, "Go, but remember, you are sick. Let me go ahead. Let me speak for you." He agreed. She went to his office. There, she saw Kelly in charge. She asked calmly, "Who are you?" Kelly answered, "I am the wife of the owner." The lady in red's heart burned with rage. But she kept her face still. She went home to Kelvin and said, "They took everything, your wife and mother betrayed you, now go and take back what is yours." Kelvin believed her. He returned to the office with her beside him like a wife. When his mother and Kelly heard he was back, they ran to him with joy. But he denied them. "You left me when I needed you," Kelvin said. His mother fell to the floor crying. Kelly wept too, terrified for their children, afraid of what brokenness could do. Kelvin felt something when he saw Kelly. A familiar pull. But his spirit was too dirty to connect. Suddenly, he began to sweat. Kelly noticed even before the smell started. "Kelvin doesn't sweat," she whispered. The entire building was ice cold. Then the odor came. Heavy, rotting, unbearable. His mother vomited. The staff ran out in fear. Kelly rushed to Kelvin and held him, and he collapsed into her arms, crying. She shouted for the doors to be closed, for everyone to leave. But the lady in red spoke. "Kelvin, I will always stand by you, even if everyone else leaves, that we are in this together." The room fell silent. His mother fainted. Only 3 remained. Kelly, Kelvin, the lady in red. Kelly and the woman in red stared at each other. Then Kelly ran out to carry his mother. They rushed her to the hospital. She could not die. And she could not stay alive. She wept with a voice only a mother knows. "What has happened to my son?" Meanwhile, at the office, the lady in red spoke poison into Kelvin's ears, turning him against his wife, against his mother, against everyone. She stood before the board and said, "Anyone who is not ready to work, resign now." She was taking over. Before I continue, subscribe to Tribelines African and comment where you're watching from. After Kelvin returned with the lady in red, things changed in a way no one saw coming. She began to demand that he take her as his wife. She cried, telling him everything she had done because of him, all she had risked, all she had lost, just to keep him. She began showing herself as a wife material. She knelt down to serve him his meals. She cleaned the house. She treated him softly. She stayed close to him like breath. And Kelvin accepted it. They lived together. One afternoon, Kelvin's mother and some family members finally traced where he lived. They came shouting, "Loose my son! Leave my son alone!" But when they entered, what they saw broke her spirit. Kelvin was treating the lady in red like a queen. He didn't even look at his mother. He acted like she did not exist. His mother's heart shattered. That was when she went to a native doctor. Desperate, confused, lost. But when the native doctor revealed that the lady in red was not human, her heart almost stopped. Still, she could not give up on her son. A few days later, she returned to Kelvin's house with what the native doctor gave her. Without hesitation, she threw the substance on the lady in red. Immediately, the woman transformed into her horrible, ancient, corpse-like form. Everyone screamed. Everyone ran. But when they turned to look again, they saw something worse. Kelvin held her face lovingly, whispering, "I love you more like this." He touched her romantically, like she was beautiful. His mother collapsed to the floor, crying, "Only God, only God, only God can save my son." When Kelly heard what happened, she broke. "I see him in my dreams, dead, crying, calling for help." Her voice shook, her tears were heavy. Immediately, she fell on her knees before God, weeping. Then she heard a voice. "Fast for 7 days, say only one prayer." And so she did. On the 7th night, the lady in red appeared to Kelly in her dream. "Who are you? Why do you want to kill me?" The woman's voice echoed, "He called me into his life. I am here to stay." Kelly stood firm. "Then you will die. Because no weapon formed against me and my family shall prosper." The next morning, Kelvin woke up beside her. And the lady in red was dead. He screamed for help. He tried to lift her. But before he could even get help, her body caught fire. The entire house burned with her inside. No fire could be quenched. The flames were not ordinary flames. And when it ended, Kelvin's eyes cleared. His strength returned. He called his family. They came. They took him home. But the moment he reached the entrance of the house, he could not enter. Something inside him resisted. He was taken to church. And during deliverance, it became clear. The spirit in him could not enter the house because Kelly had fortified it with prayer. He wept. But this time, he was free. He hugged his children. He smiled again. He tried to rebuild his life. One night, Kelvin reached for Kelly, wanting to be close again. But Kelly gently stopped him. "We need to run tests first." The next morning, they went to the hospital. The results came out. Kelvin didn't only have HIV. He had other terrible diseases he contracted from the lady in red. Kelly cried, "Why, Kelvin? Why did you do this to me? I forgave you, and now I must deal with this too." She cried for her children. She cried for herself. She cried for the life they lost. She began medical protection for herself and the twins. Slowly, Kelvin's body weakened. His legs failed. Then his arms. Then his strength. He ended up in a wheelchair. His children grew up seeing a father whose life was once full of glory, now full of regret. And at 55 years old, Kelvin died. Not because of the disease alone, but because his heart never recovered from the weight of his choices. Protect your home. Protect your heart. Because not everyone who touches you comes to love you. Some come to take everything. If you've ever been the one who held a family together, subscribe to Tribelines African and tell me where you're watching from. Thanks for watching.